No! 1.4 million to 1 million. Where did those 400 million people go? Damn it. When we have premieres, usually that's the week that everyone watches, then things dwindle down, then we level off. Unless you're a show like Lost or something like magical. So that's what happened here. Unfortunately, even though the show was arguably even better than last week's, the way that it popped off with Private Party versus Young Bucks, I don't know Private Party. I don't know them. But my very first day in wrestling, very first day I ran the ropes, appeared at an event. I unloaded the ring, put it up, and then these House of Glory guys came. And I live in Toronto. They were coming from New York to Toronto in a van with like 8 people in it, maybe more than that. And I saw Isaiah Cassidy, I saw Mark Queen, and met them. That's the story. That's the end of the story. They don't remember me, but I shook your hands. And Isaiah Cassidy had that song, "Once Was a Kid, All I Had Was a Dream." And Mark Queen had this like fire up spot like Goku where he would say, "Ah!" And I tried to talk to him about it, but he wasn't trying to give me any attention. Anyways, the match that they did was great. Them winning unexpectedly. There was a lot that happened in the match. I'm not going to talk about that. But them winning unexpectedly makes me think of how the Young Bucks are just a cut above. Look, this tournament serves a purpose for the story. You are the Young Bucks. You don't need a story. Your next story, whatever you're doing next week, the week after, the week after that, while this tournament is going down and other people are benefiting from it, you guys are going to be having your little beef and rivalry with a build-up to whoever your opponents will be in full gear. Probably the Super Smash Brothers. I shook their hands too. They're in Montreal. I shook everybody's hands. Whew, Chillmonger. I'm the shit. How many wrestlers did you shake hands of, huh? Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm being stupid. Let's talk about good things about AEW. The commentary. Yeah, that's right, the commentary. Having JR be the voice of your show may be a reason for those 1.4 million people who stayed last week. Wait, I know that voice. JR, good old JR, the voice of wrestling, memes and everything since. They're sticking around for him. And remember when he said at the end, the last match, he said something like, "Good God Almighty." I'm like, you put it in there. That just probably came naturally. He needs to do that more often. He needs to bring up the government mule, slobber knocker, all of his go-to lines. Maybe then we get 1.1 million, huh, JR? Think about that. Tony Schiavone's another one, right? Same reasons. And then Excalibur. Now, I got no problem with the way that they're working copacetic. It works out for me. I've never had a problem with Alex Marvez, Golden Boy. Others have. And I'm just sitting like, are you guys listening? This is great commentary. He's, like he says, he's providing lyrics to the music that's playing. And it works out for me. And I see the value in it. I'm not mad at the commentary. There was one time when Excalibur could have used his knowledge to share with us. When Jericho had Dustin Rhodes on the ropes. Referee is counting up to 4, up to 5, and he was counting with them. Yeah, it's funny and that's great. I'm just mad that Excalibur didn't explain, well, he's counting to 5 because 5 is the number where disqualifications happen. Chris Jericho knows about the rules and he's taking advantage. Like, just a little bit more explanation. He almost got there. There was another thing Chris Jericho did that I didn't like, which would be, it was a dumb idea from creative and it was buried. When he said that shit about "we the people," you can't say that in the context of a wrestling show. This is real, right? I'm supposed to pretend like this is a real sport. Don't talk about creative as if it's as if you're wrestlers who take scripts. Don't even mention that. Don't even mention fake shit. Don't mention real shit either. I'm the one guy in the world who's got this unpopular opinion about MMA and how it should never be mentioned in wrestling. Because you just talked about real fighting. Yeah, Jake Hager is this big MMA undefeated guy. Why is that important to me as a wrestling fan? Why does him being an MMA fighter do anything except expose that wrestling is the fake sport? That's all it does. Because when you tell me what Jake Hager does, let's say I go on YouTube and I watch a clip of him fighting and I'm like, wait a minute, he's throwing shots at him and there's no selling in MMA, right? There's no selling. So why are his moves more effective in this sport than that sport? One of them's real and one of them fake. That's just where my mind travels to. That's why I don't see MMA, mixed martial arts, ultimate fighting as as another combat sport, which we should mention in wrestling. Boxing I'm okay with because of the nature of the rules. You can only use your hands. Kickboxing, let's say amateur wrestling. But MMA is literally pro wrestling if it was real. There's little you can do in pro wrestling that you can't do in MMA and likewise, and vice versa. They're too similar to each other where when I watch one, The only conclusion I'll ever draw to is one is fake and one is real. That's why I'm not about my MMA. I'm supposed to be talking about AEWs though. AEW ended pretty good. The beginning and the ending were fire. The in between was. I don't like that they went to commercial during matches. Remember, guys, wrestling is fake. Let's take advantage of that. We can do 8-minute blocks of matches. We don't gotta do entrances. People walking to the ring isn't that important. That's 3 minutes out of your show that you could just be like, hey, they walk to the ring. We're gonna go to commercial break. When we're back, it's gonna be so and so versus so and so. We come back and ding, 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 the match begins. We held off just for you fans, and now that you're here, hey, AEW. And I know the international audience gets the feed that shows entrances. Great for them. But the TNT audience can benefit from it. The TSN audience too. Rio, what's her name? Rio, the women's champion from Japan. There was a moment, and this is a compliment to the fans, where she was out against the fencing. And instead of the fans reaching across that barrier, trying to touch her, hey, good job, doing whatever it could be, the fans are just applauding her, hey, showing respect for our women. They showed respect for our women in the show. The commentary did that too with Aubrey Edwards. They make sure to mention every referee's name, but when it came to Aubrey Edwards' time to say nice things about it, I think all three of them had a go at it, and it's like, okay, a little bit too strong. Remember, we want equality. We don't want pandering. When you keep giving me these, Aubrey Edwards is the most qualified person to be doing this main event. Aubrey Edwards, and whatever her role was here in this match, Aubrey Edwards, this and that. It's like, all right, chill out. She just wants to be treated equally and normally. Allow it. The ending with Dustin Rhodes, with Chris Jericho calling his team the Inner Circle. All of us X-Men fans, we know that's the name that they use for the Hellfire Club for the animated series back in the 90s. That's what they called them, right? So, hey, tie-in. See, if you're a wrestling fan and a comic book fan, you found my channel, jackpot. If not, hey, I'll be doing these weekly. I should be doing these weekly because I'll have something to talk about. I'm not a wrestling WWE fan anymore. Like, this year was my final year, especially when AEW started with their pay-per-views. And I saw that, I'm like, I don't have to watch SmackDown and Raw and 3 hours of nonsense, and it got so bad I started skipping through, and I started going, hey, let me just watch the Sasha Banks match. That's my favorite. Let me just watch the everyone I like matches, and then skip out on everything. But now I'm just like, I don't need to see it. I'll listen to Post Wrestling Podcast to hear what they have to say about it. They'll let me know, and if there's something important, they put their stuff on YouTube. That's the thing with the WWE. They put their things out, even for NXT. One day after, immediately it's available. So with them being the competition, they're not really competition because they're developmental still, right? You can't compete, especially with the audience. It's hard to compete. Not that NXT is bad. Of course, NXT is way better than Raw and SmackDown, and NXT is the future of wrestling, and Triple H is the man. I'm not dissing them. We can compliment AEW without fighting NXT. It's just the editorial. What's the word I'm looking for? The management-torial. The office executive's decision to put NXT on Wednesdays against USA and then extend it to 2 hours. It's see-through. The reason that this exists is to combat my favorite promotion, All Elite Wrestling. My guys, independent wrestlers, people who are changing the game, increasing wages for wrestlers. People who I could speak their praises and every single one of them. So the inception of this NXT USA, I can't watch it even if I wanted to watch an episode. Even if they do a takeover on Wednesday. I'll never go from an AEW channel to the NXT channel. It's not me. It's against everything I stand for. I'll watch it free later on a day later. Bob's your uncle. My name on the channel is Chillmonger. You can subscribe by clicking on that. And thanks for watching the video, all that good stuff. Comment, subscribe, blah, 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 blah.